What if a moment that lasts only a few seconds could explain why Jungkook continues to dominate global attention in 2026? Right now, fans around the world are replaying a short, raw clip from BTS during their soundcheck in El Paso, and something about it feels different. Not staged, not choreographed, not part of the official show. Just a brief, unexpected moment that has ARMY talking nonstop. Stay with this, because what actually happened is simple on the surface, but the meaning behind it goes much deeper. The footage comes from day one of the arirang World Tour stop in El Paso, where anticipation had already been building for hours before the main concert. Soundcheck is usually a quieter part of the day, a behind-the-scenes window where artists test audio, adjust timing, and move through routines without the full production energy. But for fans, especially those lucky enough to witness it, Soundcheck is often where the most genuine interactions happen. No heavy lighting, no scripted fan service, no pressure to perform perfectly. Just artists being present in the moment. In this particular clip, the members of BTS are moving casually across the stage, focused but relaxed. The energy is calm, almost routine. And then, in a split second, Jungkook does something that fans immediately label as unexpected. Not because it's dramatic in a traditional sense, but because of when and how it happens. He briefly breaks from that focused rehearsal mindset and acknowledges the fans in a way that feels spontaneous. A glance, a gesture, a reaction, small enough that you might miss it if you blink, but powerful enough that once you see it, you understand why it's going viral. Here's where it gets interesting. In large-scale performances like those on the arirang World Tour, timing is everything. Every movement is usually calculated, especially during official segments. Soundcheck, however, exists in that gray area between preparation and performance. And that's exactly why moments like this stand out. Jungkook isn't performing for cameras here. He's not delivering a planned highlight. He's reacting in real time, and that authenticity is what's pulling viewers in. Fans at the venue can be heard reacting almost instantly. The sound shifts from controlled anticipation to emotional release. It's not just excitement, it's recognition. They know they've witnessed something unscripted, something real. And in the world of global pop, where so much is polished and perfected, those rare glimpses of spontaneity carry enormous weight. But let's not overstate it or turn it into something it's not. There's no official confirmation of any dramatic event, no major announcement tied to this moment. What makes it powerful is precisely its simplicity. Jungkook notices the fans, responds naturally, and continues with the soundcheck. That's it. No spectacle, no exaggerated action. And yet, the clip spreads across platforms because it taps into something deeper, the connection between artist and audience. Now think about the timing. BTS has returned to the global stage with massive momentum following their comeback era, and every appearance is under intense scrutiny. Every gesture is analyzed, clipped, shared, and discussed. In that environment, even the smallest unscripted reaction can become a focal point. This is not new for BTS, but what's fascinating is how consistently moments like this continue to resonate. Halfway through watching this, you might be asking yourself, why does something so small matter this much? And that's exactly the question that keeps viewers engaged. Because the answer isn't just about the moment itself, it's about what it represents. It represents accessibility in a space that often feels distant. It represents authenticity in an industry built on precision. And most importantly, it represents a relationship that fans feel personally connected to. There's also a visual layer to consider. In the background, fans are holding banners, some traveling internationally just to be there. The atmosphere isn't just local, it's global. That context amplifies everything. When Jungkook reacts, even briefly, it's not just to a crowd in El Paso. It's to a global community watching, recording, and sharing in real time. And this is where retention spikes for viewers. Because now, it's not just about what happened, it's about what could happen next. If this is how Soundcheck looks, what will the actual concert bring? Will there be more unscripted moments? More interactions? More glimpses behind the polished performance? That curiosity keeps people watching longer, replaying clips, and searching for more angles. At the same time, It's important to stay grounded. Not every viral moment signals a bigger hidden story. Sometimes, a genuine reaction is just that, a genuine reaction. And in this case, that's more than enough. Overanalyzing can take away from the authenticity that made the moment special in the first place. The value here isn't in exaggeration, but in recognition. Still, from a content perspective, this is exactly the kind of moment that drives engagement. It has all the elements: real footage, emotional fan response, global context, and a central figure whose presence alone commands attention. Jungkook doesn't need a dramatic action to create impact. His awareness, timing, and connection with fans do that naturally. As the clip continues to circulate, more fans are adding their own interpretations, sharing personal experiences from the venue, and building a larger narrative around those few seconds. And that's how digital storytelling works in real time. A single moment becomes a shared experience, then a discussion, then a trend. So what should you take from this? Not just the moment itself, but the pattern. These unscripted interactions consistently outperform heavily produced segments when it comes to engagement. They feel closer, more human, more relatable. And in a space where attention is everything, relatability wins. If you've made it this far, you're already part of that engagement cycle. You've watched, you've analyzed, and now you're thinking about it. That's exactly what keeps content alive and growing. So here's something to consider. Did you notice something in the clip that others might have missed? A detail, a reaction, a timing shift? Because often, the smallest observations lead to the biggest conversations. And as BTS continues their arirang world tour, moments like this are likely to happen again. And what makes this even more interesting is how quickly a moment like this evolves once it reaches a wider audience. Within minutes, clips begin circulating beyond the original fans who were physically present in El Paso. Edits appear, slow-motion replays highlight the exact second of Jungkook's reaction, and suddenly what felt like a small, intimate interaction starts to take on a larger digital life. This is where perception begins to shift. People who weren't there start to experience it in their own way, forming opinions, adding captions, and building emotional context around a moment that lasted only a heartbeat. At the same time, other members of BTS continue their soundcheck as usual, which actually reinforces how natural the moment was. There's no pause, no dramatic follow-up, no indication that anything extraordinary just happened on stage. And yet, that contrast between the routine of rehearsal and the sudden spike of fan emotion is exactly what makes it compelling to watch again and again. It feels like catching something you weren't supposed to see, a genuine reaction slipping through a highly controlled environment. Some fans are now pointing out how this reflects Jungkook's consistent awareness of his surroundings. Even in a focused setting like Soundcheck, he seems to register the presence of fans in a way that feels immediate and instinctive. It's not about creating a viral clip, it's about a habit of connection that happens whether cameras are ready or not. And that's a subtle but important distinction because it separates intentional fan service from authentic interaction. As more angles of the same moment begin to surface, the narrative becomes richer. Different perspectives show slightly different timings, slightly different reactions, and each version adds another layer to how the moment is understood.